Hi guys. Alright, we're back on the GETV. We're doing some delicate surgery. Had 3 resistors that were bad in this coil. So one goes to one coil and comes out to the end here. It was 220 ohm that was measuring almost double. The other two I haven't got soldered in yet. They're sitting here. These are 2.2K. This is the for the sound ratio detector. We have 2 diodes in here, one here, and I don't know, oops, if you can see the other one or not. Rotate it down. Yeah, there's the other diode. Now I've got to solder these pins up and resistors into the pins and then solder them to the diodes. So we're going to rotate this down just a little bit. Let's see if I'm still in the camera. Alright, stay focused. Alrighty. We'll see if we can get this on camera. We heat the pin up. Keep trying it every once in a while. Eventually it'll start taking. There we go. And let it just kind of flow down. Kind of wet the, there we go. Now she's taking. It's best if you wet your soldering iron just a little bit, because what it does is get a better heat flow. And make sure she's on there nice and square. There she starts taking. That'll look better. It'll just wick right in there. There we go. And we'll cut those off. Now the next step is to get them fastened onto the diodes. And let me get you in the camera here. Now these were originally, they didn't bother trying to solder them. And I'm going to, but what they did is they crimped them. They had a little metal crimp things. I don't know if I've still got them. Well, here's one. I don't know if you can see it right here. Let's see. It's just a little piece of metal that they then crimped on. Mainly because these are germanium. And they were probably a little worried about the heat, but I'm not so much. For one thing, they did solder them on the other end. So, I'm going to come down here and we're going to make a loop around. Probably cut some of that off. Stay in there. Crimp are good, and that should hold it. There we go. That's all we gotta do. We'll do the same thing on the other side. See if I got you in the camera here. Germanium can take some heat, diodes. Transistors, on the other hand, a lot of them were kind of a little picky, but you can still solder them in. If I was really going to be worried about these, I would take something to heat and sink them. Get it away from the can. Wire here that needs to come down around there. And she's ready to go back in on the radio. That's all there is to that. I'm going to pause the video and kind of get set up for showing you some other stuff that I'm doing. We've been working on the circuit board, so I'll be back in it. Okay. Now, as you can see, I've been doing some work here. Got a few capacitors done. Right here and here and here, so the yellow things. And power resistor replaced here. And some of these points here, you'll see some blue resistors. And which are like right down there. And there's no one there. And here. And here. Those are replacements. I put in 1%ers. And then some of the others, there's one right here that's been replaced. But it's a... You'll notice it's carbon comp. When I had the right values of carbon comp to put in here, I went ahead and used those instead. This one here has been replaced. Of course, that one's been replaced. I still got a few more. Let's see. Yeah, I replaced that guy there along with this one and stuff. Got the can back on here, cleaned up and put on. And started getting some of the controls back on. This guy here, hopefully it stays good enough. If you kind of see, he looks a little chipped right here. And he is. Well, these set down lower, so they're actually designed for you to, if you need to make adjustments when it's in the cabinet, to use a screwdriver to go in. Well, this one probably was stiff or stuck, and someone tried to turn it with a screwdriver and it broke it. I don't know if you can see that. Very good right there. Right there. Well, what I did is I took a hacksaw and cut down a little more so I have more groove now. The only thing I had left was just on this side a little bit here. So I grooved that down a little deeper, the hacksaw, so that, I don't know if you can see that or not, but so I could get onto it with a screwdriver. It's one nice thing you can do. They're just plastic and stuff, but they set in a lot further than the others. These will sit out far enough that you can reach them with your fingers. But these guys, you have to use a screwdriver. Still got to put the controls on up here, and I want to talk a little bit about one of those. That can that I was working on, the transformer, goes right here. Ratio detector and second IF transformer. So I got a few more resistors to replace. I also got the diode package changed with a phase detector. This is what was in it, which was actually a replacement itself. And actually, this thing actually tests good. It's still in good shape. Got rid of them other caps that's put in here, which was kind of interesting because this little guy down here, they had it mounted on the back side of the board. It was this, there I am, little guy. Well, that's supposed to be a .0039. I don't have, well, they're kind of hard to come by, a 0039. I did have a 0033. That's what I put in there. But what they had in there, whoever did the recapping on this thing, had a .0056 in there. And I assume the TV probably worked. They were put in a while back. Also got the coil that I got fixed, fitted back in. So, anyway, what I'm going to try to do here, and of course things never work as good on camera as they do on, you know, without the camera, but I've got a few more resistors, and I thought maybe you might like to see how they come out, how I get them out. And there's various techniques. So we're going to work on this one right here, and which is right here and right over here. And now I'm going to show you some things on the back of the board, but it hooks in right these 2 points. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get that right in there. Okay, and we'll go at it. So I just use a solder sucker and let it go at that. That tends to work pretty good. And take a close look at that. That goes straight across. Okay. Let's see if we got them loose. A little bit more here. That should take it. Then we grab a hold of it, and she's still a little stuck, so we'll just kind of heat it. There we go, and we're out. And there he is. Well, we got a replacement for him, and appears to be, colors are pretty much gone on this, but it looks like an 82K. So this is what I got here. Alright, now I'm going to show you a little thing that I generally do. Got one of these little things here. Move the board out of the way so I can kind of show it. It's got various numbers on them for however long you want it. This generally works about right in here. For these, it's about standard. It allows you to bend your ends over and kind of make a nice little shape. I don't even remember where I got these. I'll see if I can find out some information on them. I've had them for a long time, but they're kind of nice to have. Now what we do is we locate it into the holes. I like wiping off any dirt that was underneath it. Put my fingers there and get them in. Bend the leads just like so. And we just solder them in place. There. And then we cut the leads off. I'll explain what I was just doing there. And once I get all the parts replaced in here, then I'll take some alcohol and a brush, clean all the flux off. This little spot right here, where you see a lead coming in, that's a long lead from a capacitor right here. Because this was all tore up right here from the last replacement guy did. So I ran it back here and soldered it down there. Well, I shouldn't have soldered it real quick, but anyway. And so that I get a good contact to this resistor and that pad. It's just these two pads right here that are connected. There's some other places that they had worked on it. And they ended up losing all this for some reason, all through here. So when I put the new cap in, I just fishtailed it around there and soldered it down over there. And I think, oh yeah, a couple spots right in here that were in bad shape too. So I had to take and bend the leads, leave the leads long and bend them over and solder them down to better places on the pad. These early circuit boards are real touchy about how much heat's on them and stuff, and so they tend to lift. In fact, the interesting thing is this is that little board that's got your antenna connections, and then of course the local and distant switch, and you're probably never going to see it too well, but this pad and this one right here and here, both of these are slightly lifted, and so is it right in here, lifted a little bit, and that's from the factory. This has never been worked on, and I had a little bit of troubles with this one. These two wires go to the tuner for the connection to the tuner for the antenna. And this one was actually loose, and I was afraid moving the wire around could tear it off, so I went ahead and super glued this down. And once that gets set up good, I'm going to go ahead and hit it with a little bit of hot glue on this side, just to add a little extra strength to it. But even the factory had a little troubles. These are capacitors, by the way, these two guys here. Two metal pads with an insulator between them. So yeah, they're picofarad caps. I'd have to get schematic out and see exactly what value they are. But all the rest, everything on here is just resistors with a switch, and it switches in some resistors when you're local and switches them out when you're distant. Just it's a attenuation device. So let's see what else. I will continue on with this, and when I get the rest of the parts done on here, I'll make another video when it gets time to put the can back in and show you how that goes in and stuff. Still got the controls to come on here. Oh, I was going to talk about that. Also, I got the shields yet to go on. These guys here. That tube, and that tube. I want to leave them off until I get everything replaced. I'm replacing. Otherwise, they're in the way. And then the fuse holder. It goes down here. And one wire goes through a hole right there. And that's got to go on yet. Some of these pots were bad, and I've got a bunch of potentiometers and stuff, and like on this one here, the volume control, I found just the resistive part, because the one that was in here was like way out of sight, and I replaced it with one I had that it's just teeny bit different, but these are designed for either wire wrap or solder onto a circuit board. I still got to clean them up a little bit. It's never been used, but I've had it for ages, and I bought it in a box of stuff. So anyway, I just replaced just the the resistive element that was in there, and just this part. But when it came to this one, I couldn't save the resistive element in it, and it was way off. And so what I had to do, I had one that had about the right resistance. It's just a little bit low, but it'll be close enough. But it wouldn't fit in here in this package quite right. No matter how much file, just the way they've got the center wiper rigged up and everything, it wouldn't work. So what I ended up doing is drilling out the holes here and here on the old backer board, and taking that part off, the bad resistive part off, and then did the same thing with my replacement one. Well, I don't have rivets that size, so what I did was I found a couple very small screws and a couple nuts, and the screws were just barely long enough, and I don't know if you can see them in there or not, but to hold it back in place and hold the pins on, and then screwed the nuts on there, and they're only on there about 3 threads. So I went ahead and touched them up a little solder so that they'll stay. So now it's a good control now. So other than that, once I get a little further along on this, so we'll do another update video. Been getting stuff cleaned up. Here's the selenium rectifier. I'm going to leave it in there for looks, but what I did was I took the bolt out and put an extra insulation on this end and extra on this end, so the contacts themselves are insulated from the selenium, so I can hook my diode on there, because the way this thing sets up, there was no good place to have any tie points. So these will make good tie points, and since they're now insulated from everything, I can put a diode in here and then just make my connections back up. But that cleaned up nicely, and Been working on parts on the baseboard and getting stuff put back on it. I went ahead and actually, let me back this thing out just a little bit. Oh, wrong way. The metal pieces across here and stuff, I went ahead and drilled the rivets out and stuff. Other than this one here needs to move. So I got a little cleaning to do on it on this end. But this thing, when it's pulled this way, there's, this is the front of the TV. There's two pins that go down. See, one here and one here. That's from that front screen, front bezel, where the picture tube hooks on. And they sit down in there, and then you push this over, and that locks them in place. So that, and then once the cabinet's on and stuff, there's a bolt that actually goes down up through the cabinet there and holds it down. But when you want to take that off, you just, once you get the cabinet off, you just pull this back. You can lift that front end off. Got the transformers cleaned up. They're back on. This will go on here about in this area right here. The only reason, generally you're not really going to see this from this side. But on the back side, you can actually look through the vent holes and see that there's a selenium there. Circuit board goes over here. There's actually two slots here, and I don't know when it was done, but this is supposed to fit in that slot. The other one on this side is broke off, so I don't know if that got broke off when maybe the guy who worked on it before had the board completely out and it broke, or if it was broke at the factory. I don't know, or some other time, but it'll still be fine. So, and got the flyback cleaned up pretty good, and this piece here cleaned up and got it all mounted back on. This is the doorknob filter cap for the high voltage. I think it's 10,000 pico or 1,000 picofarad at 10,000 volts. Most of the time you'll find most sets are 500 picofarad, but this is 1,000. It's double. I got this bolts down at one end of the circuit board, and there's a bolt that goes right through here to bolt to the circuit board. So that's about all I've got for you for right now. I'll continue working on this, and there'll be another video coming up fairly soon. And anything I forgot to talk about today on this one, I'll probably remember and make sure I talk about it on the next one. But so that's where I'm at right now. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it the big thumbs up. And I guess I'll see you guys on the next video. I want to thank you for your comments and stuff. And oh yeah, one thing I almost forgot to answer the question from last week about hooking up the horizontal backwards. And a couple of you answered it, and you both did good on the answer. One was a little bit off. But what happens is if you hook the horizontal, not the vertical, but the horizontal up backwards, you'll see a mirror image on the screen. So if there's any writing on there, it'll look like you're looking at it through a mirror. So it'll just be backwards or reversed like a mirror does. So that's what happens. Now why I asked that, back in the day, many years back, there was technicians that actually did that on purpose. Now the reason why is because of certain hospital patients. Today, if you go in the hospital and you're having, for whatever reasons, your medical condition is such that you're having a hard time breathing on your own, they'll stick, they got a tube that they stick down into your trachea and down in there, and then it's a plastic tube and it comes out and runs to a pump that helps you breathe. Pumps air in and out. Well, back years ago, they didn't have stuff like that. And what they had was what was called an iron lung. And an iron lung is, for those who don't know what they are, think of it as a big enclosed tube, and steel tube that opened up at one end, and you could go in. They would roll your bed with you on flat on the bed, roll it in up until you get to your, basically the only thing sticking out was your head. They'd close the doors up on it, and it would kind of, not tightly, but relatively seal against around your neck, up around your shoulders, and your arms and everything else was inside this. And then that had a pump that hooked to it. And as that pump would create a vacuum in there or lower the pressure inside the iron lung, atmospheric pressure would push air into your lungs, and you'd breathe in, and then the pump would work the other direction, move and start pumping the other way, pressurizing it, and shove your air out. The thing was, other than just rotating your head back and forth, moving it just a little bit, you laid flat on your back. And this could be for days, depending on how long it took before your condition got better or whatever. And you could be very much awake. So people who were in that situation might want to watch TV. Well, TVs back in the day was not the easiest thing to hang them off the ceiling. So what they'd do is they'd set the TV up behind you, and then they'd put a mirror that was angled just right where you could look straight up and see that mirror and see the TV. But to get it to work right, they had to switch the horizontal, because otherwise you were seeing a mirror reflection. By switching horizontal, then when it reflected to the mirror, it was back to normal. So a little tidbit of information I thought. Besides that, if you hook the vertical up backwards, then everything will be upside down. If you hook the horizontal up backwards, it'll be reversed or mirrored. So if you ever do, especially on these newer TVs or the 50s TVs and stuff, and where they wired these in, they weren't in with plugs on most of these, especially the portable ones and stuff, but the picture tube didn't stay with the chassis. Well, it's best just to go ahead and disconnect these, because otherwise they're flopping around and everything, and you could end up just pulling the wires loose or damaging it or something. So if you do get it hooked up backwards, it'll work. It's just that if you get the horizontal reversed, you get a mirrored image. Vertical, you get upside down. So you just know just to switch them back. So anyway, that's the answer to the question and stuff, and thanks for your comments, and thanks to my new subscribers, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.